Thank you, Nancy, thank you, Art Zone, for all you've given us, for all you've done, for all of us in Seattle. Over the past 10 years, we love you.
Hello, hello.
Hit it, hit it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Nancy Guppy here at Georgetown Stables, and not only is this the kickoff to our new season, it's the kickoff to our next decade, our second decade. More on that in just a moment. First, though, here's what's coming up. Filmmaker Jordan Albertsen pays homage to the Sonics.
I just fell in love with that band, and both of those original records just kind of blew my mind.
What's it made of?
This is made of
Rusty Oliver bakes us a cake.
Rivets, some steel, and a flamethrower.
Always you gotta have a flamethrower. And new music from Lemolo. Yep, Art Zone has been on the air for 10 years. We've covered a lot of ground since 2008. So, before launching into season 11, we thought we would look back at how this whole crazy thing got started.
The year was 2008. Greg Nichols was mayor. Up-and-coming Fleet Foxes were signing with Sub Pop. The sculpture park was barely a year old. Jeff Bezos was only worth $8.2 billion. And the Supersonics were packing up for Oklahoma. Enter Onto the Same. In 2008, Art Zone was a brave Seattle Channel dive into the creative arts pool. As part of the broadcast mission to cover the arts, innovative folks at the city station approached King TV's Almost Live and City of Go-Go's Nancy Guppy to be a video DJ for their on-air programming. The plan was she'd stand in front of a studio wall of TV cables and sandbags and encourage people to tune in to upcoming shows. Okay, but Nancy had another idea.
Hi there, I'm Nancy Guppy, and welcome to the premiere episode of Art Zone in Studio. This is a weekly 30-minute show devoted to the local art scene.
2008 was a humble beginning.
Don't we need light? Hi, and welcome to the... Okay, over here we've got some really...
$376 built the show a studio set of recycled materials.
This, my friends, is the piece de résistance.
Art Zone was filmed on Tuesday. It aired on Thursday. And the whole thing had to be taken down and stored every day to make way for other Seattle Channel shows.
Check it out.
But by December of that very first year, Seattle had watched 30 new profiles of artists.
It competes with advertising, and that's something that's really important because it symbolizes democracy in public space.
The best result I get is when I don't think about so much.
All right, cool.
There were countless interviews.
Try to do setup punchline, I swear it.
Many more mistakes.
This is in school?
Well, I was learning this in school to just focus on the music and trust my fingers.
Come on, people.
They turned the spotlight on art venues.
Here we are in the fabulous On the Boards lobby. Cheers.
This is where really cool stuff happens.
Like what?
They experimented with in-studio performance.
I swim no more.
Weekly ways to get your attention. With 1,000 reminders to get off the couch and out into the arts. It was obvious.
Come on.
There was no turning back. Over the next 10 years, the Seattle Channel, Nancy and the AZ crew constantly changed up the show to fit the needs of a creative community.
Hi, nice to be here.
I love that voice.
Including moving out of the studio.
Stay tuned for Art Zone, coming to you from the place where the music matters, KEXP.
And into a different venue every week.
The Northwest African American Museum. Below Del Reserve, from the writerly paradise that is Hugo House.
I felt this sort of empty narcissism in a way. Like, we did the show, and then everybody claps for us.
They dug deeper into the lives of artists.
In the center of it, you guys are like this thing that everybody's trying to get a piece of.
They created new events.
We staged 3 one-hour talk shows in front of a live audience on the 2nd floor of King Street Station.
This is sort of like some sort of marriage counseling.
It is marriage counseling.
All they have to do while they're here is be a writer.
And documented unsung heroes.
There is a kind of safety in terms of the way that you're cared for there.
And as usual, she demands that I do the dances that the kids are doing now.
There's been a decade of perfecting the live music performance. Artists were given a safe place to vent.
Trust me, as a fat, queer, mixed-race, Latinx, non-binary person who identified as female for most of my life, I've heard all of your edgy, original jokes before.
Kind of feel like the world is breaking, a crash of the place, now the earth is quaking now.
Art Zone introduced new kids on the block.
Never do what I'm told, I'ma move on my own. Psycho, dance on my own.
While saying goodbye to others. AZ with Nancy Guppy.
Hello, hello.
Is alive and well.
Action! We put together
And in its 11th year of obsessive dedication to artists, audiences, and the cultural life of our city.
So when you're in front of the painting, you get a sense of him working and reworking. Look at that double A that's crossed out.
I felt wood was a medium which was clearly male-dominated medium, and I wanted to bring women's voice in that medium.
It's a story for people of color. It's a story for Asian people. It's me.
By the time I decided I wanted to design vacuum tube guitar amplifiers, it was a technology that was no longer being taught.
As soon as I want the poem, I just look and I mine for it.
I think there's an element of masochism that goes into each piece.
We come light and delight some.
And maybe even a little bridge with someone in the orchestra.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, dance saved my life. It gave me a path. It directed me in a way that I've been able to experience all of these amazing things.
To celebrate the first decade, they've unearthed a few clips from the past.
Hard as I can.
Okay, but don't. Oh!
There's the blood, the sweat, the tears,
Okay, just forget it.
and the baloney.
The only thing crazier than making a sandwich like this, Nancy, would be
Eating it.
You gotta take the whole plate, I'm cramping.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you're
The vault will be opening this fall, so keep an eye out. More moments to come.
Filmmaker Jordan Albertsen grew up on Whidbey Island, where in 1995, at the tender age of 13, he discovered and became obsessed with the Sonics. No, not the basketball team, but the 1960s garage rock band out of Tacoma that laid the groundwork for both punk rock and grunge. Well, Jordan has transformed his love of the band into an award-winning documentary called Boom, a film about the Sonics. We caught up with Jordan at his Bozeman, Montana home, where he lives with his lovely wife, Sasha, and his cute little dog, Monster. Hey, Jordan.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Nancy. You ready to go?
Hey, Nancy, yeah. Hold on.
All right, let's do this thing. So, let me ask you this. How did you discover the Sonics?
Well, I discovered the Sonics when I was a kid. My dad actually told me about them because he used to go see them when he was a teenager. And he walked by my room one morning and heard me listening to Nirvana. And he was like, if you like this, you should check out this band, the Sonics. And I kind of ignored him because everything my dad listened to I thought was really lame at the time.
A couple days later, I came home from school. My dad had found an old copy of Boom, left it resting against my door. So I went into my room and put it on. Within seconds, they instantly became my favorite band.
So when you put the record on that first time, what is it that you heard that was so compelling?
Well, it was just dangerous. The first guitar tone you hear, it just sounded so unclean and just kind of dirty. And I think I was 13 at the time, and so I was definitely going through my rebellious phase.
So naturally, I thought I knew everything there was to know about everything. But this sounded like punk rock. And historically speaking, these guys were almost 15 years before the Ramones.
I just fell in love with that band, and every song on there was so different from anything else, recorded at that time.
I just sat there staring at this album cover, looking at these 5 badass dudes. Who were they? And what happened to them?
So fast forward to 2008, you're 26, and you begin production on a documentary about the Sonics. Why then?
The Sonics had reunited, and they announced their first hometown show, which was Halloween night 2008 at the Paramount Theater. My mind was kind of blown. It was one of those things like a rock reunion that no one ever thought would happen. It was almost like looking on stage and seeing like a unicorn or something. It was just so insane to me.
I immediately called my dad and told him about the show. We grabbed tickets and I flew up from LA for the gig.
And that night, I think I'd had a few drinks, I was like, I'm gonna make a movie about the Sonics. And wrote this insanely long email where I pitched this movie about the Sonics that I wanted to make. And Buck Ormsby wrote me back the next morning. And Buck and I ended up having lunch in Tacoma, and we kind of shook hands and said, all right, let's do it.
So the Sonics stopped playing in the late 60s, so there isn't a whole lot of performance footage. How did you deal with that, making the film?
It wasn't the biggest hurdle, it was more about just, getting access to those amazing Ginny Dell'Accio photos. One of the things about the film is it only deals with that part of the history for about the first 40 minutes of the movie. And then after that, the film kind of traces what happened to the band after they broke up and how that music became influential without them knowing about it.
If it had not been for Buck, nobody would remember us. He had talked to lots of promoters who would be interested in having the Sonics go to Europe and tour.
This little regional band from the 60s, this little cult band from Tacoma, Washington, after 40 years, were finally out touring the world.
They pulled the curtains and we all went, oh God. And here the people, we looked out there. I'm not kidding you, it looked like it did when we quit 40 years ago. Pretty soon they were out diving off the stage and doing a mosh pit and everything. We thought, we're in. They like us no matter how old we are.
I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 11, so...
So the movie took 10 years to finish, lots of ups and downs along the way. Describe, if you can, that turning point moment with Pearl Jam guitarist Mike McCready.
I was living in LA with my now wife, Sasha, and I had a number of projects that I was trying to get financing for. Everything fell apart, and we moved. We moved to Bozeman, Montana, and in a lot of ways it was, you know, the end of the movie, and maybe even the end of my career. I'd kind of given up on everything, and I got a job at a sushi restaurant, and you know, one day Mike McCready came walking in with his family, and I told him what I was trying to do, and he was like, "It sounds great," and he gave me his phone number, and you know, his involvement really set a fire, you know, not just under me, but under the film, and had that meeting not happened, I don't think the film would have ever been finished.
So all 5 of the original members of the Sonics, they've seen the film. How did they react?
They loved it. I think they were all, you know, pretty surprised and pretty emotional about it. I think they realized that I wasn't trying to make them look bad or anything, or it was really just kind of a love letter that I was, you know, basically writing to them.
Well, knowing what you know now, going through this, would you do it all again?
You know, it's so hard. It's so hard to answer that question. I've been asked that a few times. I don't know. You know, the last 10 years of my life have been so difficult and so painful, and I'm kind of surprised I actually even made it out, to be honest. But had I not gone through this process, I probably wouldn't be married with my wife Sasha, and I wouldn't have my dog. And now that I have this film that's finished and, you know, gone on to win awards, and so I wouldn't want to go through it again. But looking back and knowing what good came out of all of that, I don't know, I guess that's the only way I can answer that question.
Boom! A film about the Sonics opens the Gig Harbor Film Festival on Thursday, September 26th, with a second screening scheduled for Saturday, September 28th. More information is at gigharborfilm.org.
Doing a show in Portland, and I would, before I even came out on stage, I would peek out, and I'd just see, it would just be the front row was just full of old white men just doubled over in their seats. I'm like, my God, the whole entire front row has passed away. What's happening? What were they serving in the cafe? But they're just asleep. And asleep before I've even come out on stage, you know, and they're not even giving me a chance to put them to sleep. They've done it themselves. And I was like, I think it's just become like a planned nap time. That's what theater is. Like if they're, these wives are dragging their husbands against their will to the theater. But I think they like it because they're like, she's like, it's theater day. She's like, oh, it's theater day. Oh, good, I got a nap in from, how long's the show? God, I hope it's an hour and a half. I can really get it one in.
Our band this week is the dreamy and delightful Lemolo, and this is the dreamy and delightful Megan Grandel. Hello.
Hi, Nancy.
Thank you for being our season opener. I'm so happy that you are our first band of our new season. Our new decade. Our new decade. Yeah. We're heading into decade number 2. So before we chat a bit, why don't we meet your cohorts, starting with this guy right over here.
This is Nathan Yacino.
Hey, Nathan.
Over here.
Owns a Ballard Bait Shop.
Ballard Bait Shop, and he also is the producer of the new record.
Of the new record.
Yeah.
And this?
This is Micah Simler.
Fine
over here
man.
on bass and synth.
Yep, and we've had Mike on in numerous different bands over the years, so it's great to see you. So Lemolo has been around since 2009, so we are about this, Art Zone started then, you started then. You came on our show in 2011.
Yeah.
And you've put out a few records in that time. The first one, Kaleidoscope, 2012, right? And Red Right Return in 2015. And a new record, as we mentioned a moment ago, is coming out, and it is called Swansea. And this is absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful title to the record. Is there a story behind the title?
There's a little bit of a story. So Swansea is a city in Wales, and I received an order. I do my own orders.
Yeah.
I
You run it all.
I'm my own record label.
Yeah.
So when I get an order, I'm the one who processes it and I ship it out. So I received an order from someone who lives in Swansea, and I had never heard of Swansea, and the word just sort of struck me.
Very poetic.
This is like 7 years ago.
Oh, really?
And the word stuck with me. I love words and kind of dreaming about stories behind them. And so I had that word in my head for years, and I started writing this record, and it sort of evoked a lot of imagery for me. So the record is about loss and solitude.
There's some heavy themes, yeah.
Yeah, so Swansea to me it's a concept of a place where we go when we lose someone. So kind of like finding yourself alone for maybe what feels like, it's been, what it feels like forever.
Right.
And kind of all the feelings that come along with experiencing that.
Right. We all go through that in some way at different points in our life. And you grew up in Poulsbo, and you grew up in a neighborhood called Lemolo, coincidentally.
Yes.
And you wrote the record in that neighborhood, not the family home, but could these songs have been written anywhere else? Or did they need to be written kind of in your childhood place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think my style definitely is taken a lot from my surroundings. And the place, I have a little music studio out there. It's on Lemolo Shore Drive, and it's really quiet, and it's surrounded by trees. It's really close to the water. Beautiful. And I do think that it does play a role in my inspiration and kind of the vibe of the music.
Yeah. Well, I also want to point out that it is a beautiful, I don't know if you can see, Vince, it's this beautiful blue.
Clearwater
blue. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful, and of course CDs as well. Well, I know you're going to play us a couple songs off the new gorgeous record, and up first is?
A song called Interlude.
Interlude, all right.
Yes.
Well, are we all ready to do this thing? You?
Yes.
All right, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Lemolo.
Thank you.
Lemolo's new album, Swansea, drops on Friday, October 11th, and their record release show with special guests happens Saturday, October 12th at St. Mark's Cathedral. For show tickets and to pre-order the new record, go to lemolomusic.com.
Hi, I'm Frankie Cannata-Bowman, and I'm excited to be curating this Art Zone calendar of events. This first event, The Relevant Unknowns from Blue Cone Studios, is connected to a photo project used to create an artist directory. In this yearbook-style series, Seattle artists are showcased through headshots, social media handles, and work samples. This directory is free for artists looking to collaborate or find work. If you want to be included in this next yearbook, come check out their event on October 3rd at Axis Pioneer Square. The full 2019 yearbook will be available on December 15th at the Fred Wildlife Refuge. Next is Echoes, an evening of performance benefiting the AIDS Memorial Pathway. Extending from the Capitol Hill Light Rail Station to Cal Anderson Park, the pathway creates a physical place of reflection and remembrance. Echoes includes performances from Alexandria Henderson, Seattle Men's and Women's Choruses, and Whim Whim Dance Company. The concert takes place October 14th at the Moore Theater. We Go Mad by Amy Escobar is a haunting and complex show about a woman who inherits a brooding estate and uncovers her family's dark secrets, room by room. The show brings an enchanted world to life through cinematic shadow play, modified bunraku, and object manipulation. Catch We Go Mad September 19th through October 5th at 18th and Union. And I am thrilled to tell you about my event, Art Battle Seattle. 12 of Seattle's veteran and emerging artists will go head-to-head in a live painting competition. Come watch the paint fly as canvases transform before your eyes. The artists compete for your votes and a chance to qualify for the 2020 Art Battle National Tournament. Plus, high-bidding audience members take home their favorite painting and artists take home a commission. It's a night of music, madness, and masterpieces. Join us for our next battle on September 26th at Eden, Seattle.
Well, thanks, Frankie. And that about wraps the first show of our second decade. However, no 10-year celebration would be complete without cake. I mean, we all know that. So we did a bit of research, and it turns out that the traditional gift for a 10th anniversary is aluminum, and that is when we called our very good friend, Rusty Oliver, founder and chief executive lunatic of this place here, Hazard Factory. Oh, Rusty!
Hi, Nancy.
Hello, darling. Well, Rusty, by the way, was on our the first season of Art Zone, so 10 years, which is
10 years
so
ago.
It's perfect. So you're kind of bookending our first 10, you're sending off into our second.
Happy to do it.
Now you've made us a cake, aluminum. So tell me about this cake. What the components?
This is an anniversary cake made all in aluminum with aviation rivets and a flamethrower.
And a flamethrower. And aren't these pretty? Look at that gorgeous decor right there. It's beautiful. Well, before we light this candle, I think I should probably say goodbye, just in case something goes awry, right? Just maybe?
It's
Anything
possible,
smart?
yeah.
Okay,
I think, yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you soon, I hope. Okay, let's do it. Oh, no, that's pretty, right? Just a normal little flame, no big deal, little candle.
Anniversary cake.
Happy anniversary.
It'll be
But
fine.
then, let's go to 11, shall we? Yes, yes. Da-da-da-da-da. I'm gonna do my little cheer. Yay, Art Zone! 10 years, we did it! We did it! Yay! Woohoo! I'm gonna dance around it. Da-da-da-da-da. Excuse me, Vince. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's watch it. I'm really tough, aren't I?
Yes.
Let's see you do that.
Oh, sure.
Oh, nice. Vince, you want to do it? No. I'm a pyro.
Everyone's a pyro.
Yeah,
Pretty much
everyone's a pyro. Yeah. This bodes well for our next 10 years. By the way, the 20th gift is fine china.
Oh, nice.
So that's what you'll be doing, some kind of fine
china with
and a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Ish. Maybe more than one. Right.
Why stop with one?
Why stop with one?
It's easy to make a plural.
Yeah, plural's better. More is always better. Yeah, yeah. Fire, fire.
Fire, fire.
Were you a Beavis and Butthead guy?
No.
Oh.
No.
Fire. No. Ralph was. Ralph loved Beavis and Butthead.
Propane and propane
We
accessories.
got it. Hey, Sheila Mullen. Thanks for everything.